Sorry, can't say.
What's that word you use?
Spoilers.
I like that word.
Hello and welcome to Spoiler Nation, the podcast where we have spoilers-filled discussions on your favorite and sometimes not so favorite movies and TV shows. My name is Howie and I'm the senior editor at isolatednation.com, and today I'll be joined by our resident mage, Reese.
Hello.
The 11 to my mic.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Howie.
Yes.
This is such a heavy TV discussion episode.
I know. So today,
Yeah.
we're talking about Stranger Things Season 2.
Yep.
The long-anticipated follow-up to the surprise cult hit. Or it's not even a cult hit.
I'd say it's a sleeper hit.
a sleeper hit, that's right.
Because no one expected it to be as big as it was.
Exactly.
You know, it's like a show that borrowed from all these very culturally popular things, and then in the interim, it became its own juggernaut
Yeah.
kind of thing.
But before that, some TV news to get us going.
Sort of breaking
Breaking as of this recording.
as of today. We learned today from the Hollywood Reporter a couple of interesting things. Mm-hmm. Interesting thing the first, a Lord of the Rings TV show to be produced by Amazon. There's discussions happening right now to, you know, turn J.R. Tolkien's epic series into a TV show, which they recently did with Neil Gaiman's American Gods. So they're not a stranger to spending some serious money on like a fantasy TV show based off a popular book. And they spent serious money on it, and it did pretty well, I think.
Is American Gods an Amazon property?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's a kind of precedent for, you know, for what's happening here.
But not something that's already been adapted on screen before, like Lord of the Rings, which, you know, famously adapted by Peter Jackson.
Movies that aren't that old, and they're pretty much everybody agrees that they're close to perfect.
Yeah, so what is their plan here? Their plan is to rehash the same events in the movies?
I guess it's they want to do the movie stuff, because if you got the Middle Earth sort of material, you want to do the most recognizable things to get the most eyeballs. So they're not going to do like the Silmarillion, or the Hobbit or anything like that. They're going to get, you know, Frodo,
The classic
Sam,
hits.
Gandalf, all the classic stuff, and they're going to reproduce it as a TV show.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah, it's sort of strange to me. I'm not that enthusiastic about this.
Yeah, I won't be in a rush to see it.
No, I'll watch it. Of course, I'll watch it, but yeah, I don't... It's a very strange thing to do this, because that's a huge investment in something that you can watch today, the extended editions, and that's its own kind of long TV series. Like
Exactly.
each of those movies are like so long. And it's like a really satisfying experience to watch all of them. So I'm kind of thinking, what do you get? What do you add by having it longer?
Yeah.
As a TV show, because I don't see the story as that episodic in nature either. Because me and my friend were actually talking about this, and we were just shooting the shit when we were watching the Harry Potter films, and we were kind of thinking, wouldn't this be like cooler if it was a TV show?
Yeah.
Because you could have like episodes devoted to them actually going to classes.
Yeah, that would be great.
And it feels like you're at school with them, and there's more of a lived-in quality, and you don't have to get to the next big set piece.
Yes.
Because those movies are very rushed. Like, they're fine,
Yeah.
but they are rushing to the next big thing, and it feels like something that would work as a TV show.
Yeah, Harry Potter would be more suited to be turned into like a serialized television kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lord of the Rings.
And it feels more doable than Lord of the Rings
yeah.
does.
You can always throw in new characters into the Harry Potter world and, you know, just throw in some new classmates and expand that universe out.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings is so, of course, the world is fully realized, but this main storyline is so character-centric.
Yeah.
You know, everything's about the ring, obviously.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I just don't know how they can... What can they do that is actually different from the movie, or even drastically different?
Yeah, I wonder if they even do have a different approach, or if they just want to mimic Peter Jackson's films as close as possible, but that seems very pointless.
That seems like a misstep for Amazon if they actually do that.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to a point now, I feel like, with TV shows in general, that you have to spend so much money to compete with other really expensive shows now.
Yeah.
Like, your average show costs so much more than it did, like, 10 years ago or something like that. So it's like an inflating balloon where the ante has to continually get upped. And this feels like the most ridiculous leap. A Lord of the Rings TV show.
It seems pretty dumb. Do you think this is this is Amazon's attempt at kind of drawing the Game of Thrones crowd?
Dude, that's a very good point.
Yeah, because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's Game of Thrones is about to end. We need something to, tap into that audience. 'Cause
Everybody
they'll
would want their own Game of Thrones.
exactly, and we'll be looking for a replacement, as Game of Thrones fans.
Yeah.
But is Lord of the Rings the way to go?
Well, the thing with Game of Thrones is that nothing like that had been done before.
Yeah.
So to get your new Game of Thrones, you have to do something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, and I think the essence of what's great about Game of Thrones is not its medieval setting. It's more about, its characters and how, like, it tells its stories.
It's tailor-made for TV telling.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't turn a book into a movie. It would be too unsatisfying. Be like you could with Lord of the Rings. So it makes a kind of sense. So all I'm seeing here is like sort of the dollar figure signs in people's eyes with the Game of Thrones success.
Hey, well, good luck, Amazon, I guess.
Yeah, I'll at least watch the 2-minute trailer and
Yeah.
I'll make a decision. Are they going to film this in New Zealand, you reckon?
Probably not.
Yeah, they want to be distinctive, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
What if they just cast Elijah Wood as Frodo?
Like 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
Well, Frodo's pretty old.
Yeah.
Not that enthused, but sort of interesting news, I guess.
Yeah.
Not something I expected.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it might not even happen because I think it's just like at the talking stage right now, but it must be pretty far along if it's being announced already and stuff like that.
Amazon is happy to experiment on stuff. I think they trial pilot episodes out to see if people like them,
Then it takes
decide
ages.
to greenlight.
Yeah, then it takes ages to see the next episode.
Exactly. But so I think that might be what would happen is that they would put out a pilot episode of this new Lord of the Rings show, and depending on the audience reaction to it, they would decide to go ahead or not. Because they wanted to do a Zombieland TV show, and they put out the pilot. People, I guess even without seeing the pilot, they were like hating on the idea that there would be a TV show.
Yeah.
And that killed it, essentially.
So the pre-negative reaction stopped it.
Yeah, so, I think with this Lord of the Rings one, I don't know, there's risk there. I don't think it'll be a surefire hit for them.
Well, I think it's also an attempt to get the drop on Disney, because did you hear they're setting up their own streaming service?
Yes.
In like 2 years?
Yeah, they're starting to pull stuff from Netflix.
They're going to consolidate their Netflix stuff, and they could produce their own like Star Wars TV shows or Marvel TV shows or something like that. So this feels almost like a preemptive thing where we got to do something to compete with that on that level. So it's like this kind of weird escalation game.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath for this Lord of the Rings thing to pan out, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ambitious idea for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway, should we get to the next piece of news?
Yeah, something that's more negative, I guess.
And a bit certain at this point,
Yeah.
I would say,
So amidst the allegations of sexual assault
with Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey.
Mm-hmm. Well, 8 accusers
Right.
alleged against him on the set of House of Cards.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he would purposely it seemed like he would target people who were like production assistants and stuff like that. And one guy, he insinuated something happened in a car, but he didn't say exactly what happened because he knew that would reveal his identity and he wanted to stay anonymous. So
I see.
there's been those kinds of whisperings and stuff like that. And this
That's
is
disturbing.
when you combine that with all the allegations recently made against like Harvey Weinstein and all that kind of stuff, it's like a really bad time to
Not good.
be associated with that kind of thing. So bad that Netflix they're going to proceed House of Cards without Kevin Spacey or drop House of Cards altogether.
Yeah, what was this is on the Hollywood Reporter as
Yeah,
well.
the Hollywood Reporter also reported that they're going to continue House of Cards without Kevin Spacey's involvement, so he won't get a producing credit anymore. And he won't be...
So they will continue it.
That's what they said. Like, they'll continue forward without his involvement.
Okay, just without. So they've essentially fired Kevin Spacey from the show.
Yeah, no more Frank Underwood in House of Cards.
I'm kind of excited by this prospect. If they're going to go ahead with House of Cards just with Claire Underwood,
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Well, they kind of set that up at the end of this latest season where she
Yeah.
literally looks at the camera and goes like, my turn.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's no way you could make her the lead of the show.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how they dispose of his character, like off camera.
They could do like CGI stuff, and then like first episode he gets assassinated.
Or they do like a body double thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's giving a speech and his
Yeah.
face is sort of obscured, a
Exactly.
bit of special effects or whatever like that.
Or you could see it just from like a TV point of view.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that's like the first scene.
Yeah.
He's out.
Yeah,
Claire
he-
Underwood's in.
Here's some ideas, Bo Williamson.
Yeah, that's for free. And it's not like Netflix couldn't afford that nice bit of digital trickery because this show is like already absurdly expensive and it makes a lot of money for Netflix and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I think they can do it if they decide to go ahead without him.
And it's going to be the last season as well. So no more after season 6.
Yeah.
I guess this is up to now.
This is the kind of show that I felt like should have ended like
2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
I'm not like waiting with bated breath for the next House of Cards.
It feels like ever since he became president, Kevin Spacey in House of Cards, it's just been not as interesting.
Yeah.
And he became president like at the end of season 2. So
Yeah, that's right.
that's quite a little drop off.
Yeah.
That's been trending for a few years now.
Yeah.
I'm just insanely curious to see how they'll handle that, but I don't necessarily care about season 6 of House of Cards
That's
in and
the
of
thing.
itself.
Yeah.
But I'm just interested to see what they will do.
Yeah.
Because that seems like almost the only way you could kind of get rid of him in the show. Just have like a JFK him. Imagine if they just never mentioned him again.
Yeah. And it's just focused on
Claire just talks
Claire
to the
as
camera.
First Lady.
And it's like just normal.
yeah.
One thing you can be sure is that they're not going to recast Frank Underwood. I think that's like the one
Well,
safe
it's
bet.
impossible.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
I can't believe that it also happened on set. Obviously, it tarnishes Netflix's like their launchpad show, essentially, the show that put them on the map.
Yeah, that is true.
And it sucks to know that people working on it were like experiencing sexual harassment.
Yeah, I mean, quite a few
True.
people pointing the finger at him, and
Yeah.
it seems like it was just sort of maybe like an open secret kind of thing as well. Like
Yeah.
it was just allowed to go on as long as the boat wasn't rocked too much, which I guess that's how this sort of thing perpetuates.
This is rape culture, essentially.
It is.
In
It's
essence.
It's very much the more news you hear about it, the more it's like, oh, this is like a crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good that he's getting fired and there are like consequences happening. Aside from whatever you think of Kevin Spacey on House of Cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, goodbye to him, I guess. You
Yeah.
might say this whole thing was built on
Do it.
a House of Cards. Someone could say that. Someone could make
Yeah.
that observation. Not me,
Yeah.
but like someone could.
Good one.
But Netflix is still doing just fine. With or without that, because Stranger Things, right?
Yes. Speaking of Netflix.
Segway.
These are not nightmares. It's happening. And it all leads back to here.
This thing.
You said it was all in his head. And what have you done? Nothing. What is wrong with my boy?
I don't understand. 11 what? She was dead.
Okay, so before we jump into our deep dive into season 2, let's talk about, what our thoughts were briefly on season 1. What did you think of the first season?
Yeah, to me, I thought it was just like a really fun, neat little show. It was like a clever arrangement of things that I've
Yes.
seen before.
Yeah.
Like, 11, there's like a bit of X-Men she's getting experimented on. Oh, here's the little town in the gang. Oh, that's like Stephen King.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the monster. That's like some X-Files kind of kooky shit going on.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
a bit surreal. And there's Winona Ryder on coke. Because she I know like the character she was playing and stuff like that, but that's the one thing I really didn't like in season 1 was her performance.
Really, I think her performance, her really like over the top performance
Yeah.
as like frantic mother
Yeah.
is plays a huge part in the identity of the show. Like, she drives a lot of the emotional momentum in the show.
Yeah.
And like her screaming like is part of that. I kind of enjoyed that.
I can
Like,
see that.
It just like emphasizes like the urgency of things.
Yeah, but it was just like, oh man, just change the note up a little bit. Do a variation. Because it did feel a bit one note to me after a while. But
yeah.
more often than not, I really just was surprised by it. Because going into watching it, even though people were telling me, oh, it's so good, you have to check it out, I had no real like expectations for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really drawn into the story. And I thought how it ended was like, I liked the ending because it could have just stopped there.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine. And they could have done it as an anthology show.
Yeah.
But it's sort of apparent to me, like, not to get too into season 2 too quickly, but I was like, oh, I'm glad they're continuing with these characters because I like where they're taking them.
Yeah.
And I like how they're developing, and I'm like growing more attached to them.
There's no way they could have done season 2 without 11.
Yeah, that's
just because
true.
she's become such a phenomenon.
Yeah.
You know?
All the kids really, like, the greatest thing about this show, bar none, is the casting of those kids.
Yeah.
They are, like, unnaturally natural as, like, a bunch of young kids going through all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
But also, like, their bond and their friendships and, like, how they argue with each other and that kind of stuff
Yeah.
as well. That's more fun to watch. Like, to me, the supernatural mystery stuff is kind of a drag on the show. I mean, it's fine. Like, I don't hate it, but I really watch it just for the relationships between the kids. And
Yeah.
one thing I liked about the show as well was that the parents weren't, like, evil villains. Like, it felt like they just wanted to protect their kids and they weren't assholes, and it added a real sense of sort of realism to the show.
Yeah, it's interesting because season 1 was a really good remix of a bunch of different elements in cinematic history. Like, you've got the children, you know, is living through like a Steven Spielberg or like
Yes.
Stand By Me-esque movie.
Yes.
And then the teenagers are living that, you know, that kind of...
Like 16 Candles and stuff like that.
Yeah, that kind of storyline. And then the adults are living through like some
This
kind of...
existential horror.
Yeah, like a conspiracy theory kind
Yeah.
of movie, and it all like melds together well.
Yeah.
It's shocking that it's not a Netflix algorithm TV show because it feels as if it's like engineered this way to please everyone.
And somehow it does.
Yeah, and it executes it so well because the ingredients are there and it's like a really well done like chocolate cake.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so it doesn't bother me that it's really unoriginal.
Yeah.
Because it's all in the execution.
Yeah.
And I want to see the next episode. I want to see what happens.
They're embracing the fact that they're borrowing from different, you know, pop culture.
Yeah.
And it works
Yeah.
to an extent. We'll talk
Yeah.
about season 2, but big hit, you know, season 1.
Huge.
Barb became a thing.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I don't know. I was never a fan of... I mean, Barb was serviceable, but I was never a fan of the reaction to Barb.
Neither was I.
Because in the end...
It seems so overblown.
Yeah.
I just thought, I didn't even like think twice when she got killed. I was like, oh, this is obviously the inciting incident.
Yeah.
And then people watching it, not everyone,
What
but
was
like
the hashtag again?
Justice for Barb or
Justice
something.
for Barb. I mean, I guess you could say yes. If what they mean is like justice for Barb as a character because she wasn't served well. Yeah, I'd agree with that, but she's not the first side character type that's designed to die.
That's sort of the
There have been other shows and stories that...
It's the DNA of these pulp stories.
Yeah, she's a trope.
Yeah.
Essentially, like, you've seen this character before. Why are people, like, suddenly noticing this character now?
Well, that's what I hate about the internet sometimes. These things become a meme and take a life of their own. And it's just like, it's so nonsense.
It's
She
so...
got did she get an Emmy?
Okay, the zeitgeist is so powerful that the actress for Barb was nominated for an Emmy, and she is like a shitty actress. No offense. She is horrible. If you've seen her in Riverdale,
I haven't seen Riverdale.
They cash grabbed, like they brought her in just, they could have just put a sign that's like, hey, Barb from Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. She had played another character on there, and she was horrible.
Well, I got a question for you. Is she horrible, like, because everyone else on that show is kind of horrible, or does she stick out as pretty bad?
Everyone else on that show is serviceable.
Fine.
The writing is crap. Like, it's a garbage show.
Yeah.
But, you know, at least all the actors there, like, kind of sell the lines.
Classic CW stuff then.
But then when Barb's actress shows up, it doesn't even look like she's trying to act. It just looks like she's saying lines.
Very flat.
The only reason she's here is that they're cashing in on this Justice for Barb situation.
I have a feeling it took the creators by surprise as well.
Yeah.
But I think they used that nonsense to give Nancy some good motivation, because it makes sense.
Yeah, way to retcon.
Yeah, because, wait, she was sort of... I mean, that drove her in the first season to an extent, didn't it? Like, Barb dying.
Did it?
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so they
it just didn't seem like she really cared that much. And also, anyway, we'll talk about her motivations.
They didn't expect her to be a big deal.
Yeah,
it's literally a trope.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
but that was the one. That's another thing that's like, it's not the show's fault, but it is one of those things that sort of puts you off an aspect of
it's
it
just
through
like,
no fault of its own. But
yeah. So leading into season 2, they put out an iPhone app game, which is pretty fun. It's like an 8-bit game.
Oh, is that? Yeah, that's one that sort of looks like that ET 80s game.
It's actually a pretty good game. It's like a Game Boy kind of game.
Awesome.
But at the end of it, you get to see, when you beat the game, you get to see like a new trailer for the second season, which is great.
Oh, nice.
And like it gives you some clues of like what the characters will be maybe wearing or whatever. So in the game, Lucas has... his like weapon is like a slingshot, and you see him obviously
at the show.
Yeah, in season 2, he has a slingshot.
Yeah.
So I like these Easter eggs and like these extensions. It's really like such a capital P pop culture show.
Yeah, for
sure. It's
and
like
you can get the sense just in season 2 without saying anything specific that they're very aware that it's like it's become a massive thing.
Yeah.
There's a conscious effort to make some iconic moments and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into season 2, I guess.
Yeah, let's get right into it. First of all, it pretty much hooked me quicker than even season 1 did. Because the start of season 1 with Will missing and everything like that, it was kind of a slow burn for me. Like, I didn't really get fully invested until like end of episode 3 or something like that. Around when 11 came into their house. That's when I was like, oh wait, this is like building.
Yeah.
But for me, here straight away, like, I was in. Like, the show wasted no time, and the introduction of that Mad Max girl who got the high score at the arcade game.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that whole, like, storyline.
I was relieved because I was like, okay, the show's going to... A bunch of crazy shit happened in season 1, but they're not going to try and up the ante from the beginning in season 2. Like, it starts very slowly with those rotting pumpkin fields and stuff like that, and Will's trauma. And it was like an interesting theme that the main sort of antagonist at the start is like the rot underneath, which is either people's trauma or the literal rot that appears to be rotting the field. So I enjoyed that quite a bit, and I was hooked from the start. And yeah, what did you think immediately upon watching it?
I don't remember being hooked from the start, but it felt like table setting at the beginning. Like it's similar to... the first episode of a Game of Thrones season, where it's just moving the chess pieces around. Like, here's where the characters are. Here's what's bubbling up in the surface, and oh look, a new character is here. Yeah, it was fine, but the season didn't fully engage me until I would say like episode 5.
Oh, pretty late in.
Yeah, just like, well, it's obviously it's a pleasant watch always, but you're sometimes wondering, where is this going? Yeah. And especially with the introduction of Mad Max, who was the girl who got the high score in the video game.
The punkish girl.
Yeah, essentially the punkish.
The tomboyish, punkish girl who all the boys are obsessed with.
Exactly, yeah.
And I liked that element at first too, because it's like, oh, that's a new thing. Boys being obsessed with the girl. That's not something that was in the first season.
Yeah, and she seemed like she could be a good addition to the team. So I was pretty excited about that. But then her brother comes in, Billy, like the designated bully of the season.
Totally over the top.
Yeah, Australian actor, Perth actor, actually.
Dacre Montgomery?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. Weird first name.
Yeah.
Never heard that name, Dacre. It sounds like a flavor on a sundae.
Yeah, that's right. But hey, good on him,
Yeah, that's a pretty big get, isn't it?
Perth represent.
Yeah.
A Red Ranger from the new Power Rangers movie.
That's right.
I don't know if this character is written well, or like towards the end of the movie, I don't get why he needed to exist in this storyline. And at the beginning scenes, he was super annoying to me.
Yeah.
Just give us more, airtime with 11
Yeah.
or anyone else. Why are we introducing this new character that ultimately like served really no purpose?
He was just there to be like kind of an obstacle in the last episode. That's what it seemed to be all
Yeah.
in service of.
Yeah.
And so you get a little moment where she officially joins the party.
Yeah.
Mad Max does by like beating him up. But it did seem like kind of shallow and like cartoonish.
Yeah.
Especially the scene where in the last episode too, he shows up at Nancy's house.
Yeah.
And the mother's like, he has his shirt open and he's like, it looks like a porno.
Yeah, the mom gets hot and bothered.
Gets all hot and bothered and stuff like that.
But I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah.
It was really funny. It
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
And I like the mother.
Yeah.
But the show doesn't seem to have a good handle on what their conceptualization of this kid is. Because, okay, is he in high school? Because he looks very old.
He does. He looks like 33.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And does he hate his sister or not? Because he takes her to places, and that seemed like a brotherly thing to do. But then he like threatens her with her life,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what is this? And maybe it's a direction that the actor's given. He plays it like he's a psychopath.
He plays it like Karate Kid villain.
Yeah, like irredeemably like psycho.
Like everyone else on the show sort of gives like pretty like nuanced performances.
Yeah, they
Very
have more
natural.
dimensions to them than just like, I'm evil.
And this guy's just like, there was a bit when he's like fighting Steve.
Yeah.
And like he pokes his tongue out like this metal kiss bit. And it's like, it's ridiculous and it's funny, but it's also like, I don't know if he jives well with the grounded tone of the rest of the show.
Yeah.
It's a fun little element and stuff, but it is almost like, what was it all for?
Yeah,
Really?
I think that's the kind of, obviously it reminds us of the bully from the new It movie.
Yes.
Which is a similar kind of character. So it's a trope that's been used in these horror-esque movies where it's like they represent the real life horror.
Mundane horror.
Yeah, the mundane horror. But compared to the other characters, there's just no way that they would like
Feels out of sync.
yeah, it feels out of sync because that you bring out that basketball scene with Steve, and he's like somehow this character is obsessed with Steve being like King Steve. Apparently, Steve runs the school.
Yeah.
And this character, for some reason, is really obsessed with that, but we don't see why.
Well, did you get like a lot of homoerotic
I did.
overtones between the two of them?
Yes.
And I'm like, is this like some kind of vague reference to like Top Gun?
Yeah.
Where it's like really gay, but like there's a rivalry and stuff?
It just really astounded me. It baffled me.
Yeah, it was part of the show, I think mostly this season remixes familiar stuff from the first season, like in terms of structure and beats. But you can see a couple of times they're trying to expand outside the world of what they've established. And like, he's part of it. Also, which we see in the very first opening scene with like the gang of punks running away from the cops.
Yeah, yeah.
Immediately outside of Hawkins, you're like, you're like introduced to sort of a larger world.
That part, in my opinion, that introduction to those characters, what they ended up being is a different story, but the introduction was really exciting.
Intriguing.
Yeah, because you're like, the moment where she, does her power and her nose bleeds and just the
You see the number on her wrist.
The possibility of, oh shit, she's 8. And then you see the police like, you find out that it's her like manipulating their minds. The possibility that one scene brings you, it's exciting.
Great visual storytelling.
Yeah.
For the opening scene as well. And also you've got another new sort of introduction in the form of Bob, played by
he's like
Samwise Gamgee, Sean Astin.
That's right.
Yeah.
He is the Barb of the season.
He is. Yeah. For sure.
And not like unintentional Barb. Like this is like.
This is a good Barb for me. Like
I have issues with this. I love Bob as a character.
Yeah.
But I think they've committed like a huge TV crime.
Yeah.
Where his character is engineered, like you can taste the manipulation through the screen. Every nice thing he does, that they're doing it because they're just headed towards the death scene.
That's interesting because I didn't get that initially.
Really?
At first I got like, oh, he's so nice, he's going to turn out to be some fucking prick or something like that
Right.
down the line. They're going to do something awful
Really,
like
yeah.
that. I didn't get the death thing till like the last couple of episodes.
I was pissed off just because, not because he died, but just because of how obviously they did it. Like, oh my god,
Was
it's
it that
just,
obvious?
I felt so, that whole storyline felt like the show treating us like idiots. Like,
You reckon?
Yeah, it's like, you're meant to cry, you know, in that scene. You're like, oh, how sad that he got killed. But every step of the way, well, to me anyway, it was so
Yeah.
transparent. It was just like, every scene he gets nicer and nicer and nicer, and he becomes your favorite character. And then they toy with you like, oh yeah, he's gonna survive. And then this is also another problem, which is a lot of characters don't really react in a way that normal people in that situation would react. Okay, so spoiler alert: Havoc wreaks at the lab, and all the demo dogs come
Yeah.
in, and
There's little beasts.
yeah, Bob has to, like, you know, in an ultimate sacrifice moment, if you didn't see that coming, you know, like, he goes down and does the security systems, turns on the power and stuff, and he has to navigate his way out, right? And then, you know, you're like, oh, is he gonna die?
Yeah.
The moment when you think he's escaped, he stops there.
Yeah, and he smiles.
And he smiles. It's just, yes, great TV moment, I guess, but a normal person would have just ran out the door.
Yeah.
And like, hey,
Especially
let's
him who's never seen this shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand what's happening. He just
Yeah.
knows that a monster's chasing him. There's no reason why he would be so cocky as to think the moment he gets to the entrance, he's safe. And he just stands there and smiles. Like, it just makes, it makes no sense. And the fact that they linger on the monsters eating him.
That was really manipulative.
It's gross.
Yeah, it was
and
gross.
both literally, because like it's
the
monsters
innards.
eating his guts, but also gross as in like you're clearly trying to manipulate your audience in such a cheap way.
Yeah, it was shouting to the cheap seats for sure
Yeah.
kind of moment. And that's why I didn't feel, even though I liked him a lot, I didn't feel sad when he died because I thought that hand was really overplayed.
Yeah,
I feel like.
I'm curious about the odd like fan reactions to this. I haven't seen any fan reactions.
No, but
But-
I really liked him in the show for a few reasons because Barb was really useless. But this guy, he was like actually useful, and he felt he felt as real as the other characters because
Yes.
he was like obviously scared and confused, but he stepped up anyway.
Yeah.
Like Hopper's like the kind of guy, he's the other main male
Yeah.
character, I guess. He'll just like jump in and like no thinking, he'll just do it.
He's the gruff hero.
But Bob
you
was
know?
a good contrast because he's obviously like frightened and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And also I liked that he made Winona Ryder's performance more bearable for me because she wasn't like just worrying over Will all the time and like just screeching. Like they had some nice chemistry and some nice moments.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so this is like a good balancing thing. Like, you know, it's an easy way to do it, but I'm on board with this. And I thought he gave just a good performance. Like he just sort of radiates this like simple decency.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you really like him. That's why I was kind of worried that, oh, he's going to be a prick later. Like obviously, if you want to do a twist, you make him a prick. But they didn't do that, and I was thankful for that.
But that's why I agree with everything you said. He adds such an interesting dynamic to this family.
Yeah, I think it was a waste to kill him off.
It was a waste.
It was a wasted moment.
It was not worth the shock, it's not worth that twist.
Yeah.
But they don't have the balls to kill off any of the main characters because they're like hugely popular at this point.
Yeah.
He was a great addition to the cast.
He was.
And like that scene where he tells Will about his own It story.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that scene and the payoff to that scene because it's one of the smartest things to happen on this show where they take a trope and they subvert it.
Yes.
Because on a traditional show about this, so Will is getting chased by this like Cthulhu-like creature in the Upside Down when he like gets glimpses into the Upside Down.
Yeah.
But Bob tells him, hey, I was scared of a clown once too, and I kept dreaming of the clown. But one day I decided, no, go. I told it to go away, and then it did, and I was fine. And you're supposed to, what would normally happen was Will takes this lesson, and the next time he's encountered by like the shadow monster, he does it. He yells, "Hey, go away!" And then the monster it stops or something. Mm-hmm. But in this show, it's actually worse. It's a huge mistake.
Yeah, that's what traps him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It turned out to be bad advice.
Yeah.
That scene was done so well that horror of, and it's not just horror as in like jump scares or shock. It's a horror that you've made a terrible mistake by making this choice, and like the regret, the way they intercut all the, you know, shadow going into Will, but and with like Bob's advice.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
That was a great
I think
moment.
that was one of the high moments of season 2 for me. That scene was so like electrifying and just exciting and scary and horrific.
And it feels true to the show of like sort of the adult figures really meaning well, but they're people too, so they'll unintentionally
Make mistakes.
make really horrendous mistakes.
Yeah.
And in some cases they're just as like groping in the dark as the kids are.
Yeah.
With regards to this like Lovecraftian shit that's
Yeah.
going on literally upside down.
Exactly.
So that was like really true to the show as well.
Yeah.
In addition to being like a great scary moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I also liked that early on that they didn't tease out 11's return. Like end of first episode, you see she's there with Hopper, and it's like so intriguing. And I sort of expected her to show up like halfway through or something.
Yeah,
like
me
that.
too. Especially when she escapes. Well, she leaves the cabin and goes to the school.
Yeah.
And she sees Mike.
Yes,
But it doesn't happen because she sees Mad Max.
they're like sort of mucking around together
Yeah.
in the gym.
What do you think about that scene? So she uses her telekinesis to like trip her because she gets angry that I guess she's been replaced.
Yeah, I really loved that scene. Yeah, it made so much sense to me as well.
Yeah, I'm struggling with it. Like on one hand, if I like stretch my imagination, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does, totally.
That she would be angry that she's replaced, but on the other hand, I just don't know why. I just don't fully buy into the fact that she's that hung up on the fact that another girl being there means that she's replaced. You know, what if it was just another boy?
Well,
I-
yeah,
you know-
she obviously like has feelings for Mike. That's why she was just very jealous because they had some love thing. They kissed at like the end of the last season, and
yeah.
she's like 11 or 12 or something like that.
That's true.
And
I
then
mean, sure.
then you get to like she's had nothing to think about, but like probably but with being with Mike again. And I could totally see her seeing that and just being like really upset because it's a good reminder that yeah, she's totally a child.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
every way.
yeah.
That's what I like about also with Dustin. You know how he has that little pet monster?
Yes.
And it eventually grows into all
the
these beasts.
Demogorgon.
Yeah. It sort of reminds me like, yeah, Dustin's a really smart, witty kid, but he's a dumb child. So, of course, he just keeps that thing as a pet.
Yeah.
Which, despite all the shit they went through last year, he's like, oh, it's such a cute little thing. And it becomes like this massive problem. So I like touches like that to remind you, yeah, they're stupid kids.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's just
They're intrepid and plucky, but they make decisions that a child would make.
yeah, they make childish
Yeah,
decisions.
they're emotionally so myopic.
yeah,
So I like that.
yeah. I don't have a huge problem with it.
But as a viewer, it was just frustrating. Like, oh, they're gonna delay this reunion even more.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I'm just thinking, you know, she is also like she's lab grown essentially. She doesn't really have a
Frame of reference.
like a frame of reference as to like, oh, boy and a girl being friendly, and you know, like it just
It's one of those things you would just sort of intuitively feel. I think. Though.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's not a huge problem. I'm just, there's just that question of like, is this like the most organic way for that character to react? Maybe.
yeah, I can
But,
see it.
Yeah.
It didn't like jar me or anything like
Okay.
that. It made some sense.
Obviously, it's such a pivotal moment because they almost reunite that it makes you.
Yeah.
It's worth like putting that under like the microscope to see if, you know, that was organic. Like they wanted to delay it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like sort of part of this show where sometimes you can see what they're trying to do, like whether it's to delay certain things or
Yeah.
whatever, or give her own storyline, which I guess they wanted to do away from the main group this season.
Yeah.
For the most part. And I love the payoff at the end where like she reunites with everyone and like Mad Max holds out her hand.
Yeah.
And she just stares at her and walks right past her.
Awkward.
And she says to like Dustin, teeth. And like, because he has like regrown
Yeah.
teeth now.
Dustin's like pearly whites whenever he says that.
And he does
So
this funny growl.
Yeah.
I love those goofy moments. I love
Yeah,
it.
so good.
Bit of Goonies goodness.
One of the highlights relationship wise for me in this season was Hopper and Eleven.
Absolutely.
As soon as they were introduced at the end of season 1, I just got excited because these are like two of the strongest actors in the show.
Yes.
And the fact that they would spend scenes together was awesome. They play off each other so well. I think they're dynamic.
They do.
It's kind of that, Wolverine and
Laura.
Laura in the movie Logan. That kind of dynamic, because the spunky supernatural adopted daughter and then the gruff retired
Tired old man.
Yeah.
Well, he's not that old, I guess, but he's pretty old.
Yeah, he seems
He seems old.
Yeah, he seems old.
He seems elderly
Yeah.
with his disposition of grumpiness and all that kind of stuff.
It made, the show really emotional. Like, I think that relationship is one of the greatest feats of the show, where it makes it such a, it was a crux of the ending, like them going to close the gate together.
Yeah, and I love how that was sort of visually representative of her closing a wound. Like, that's how it looks like,
yeah.
and it fit in with what their relationship was too. Like, they lash out at each other because of their own insecurities and angers. It's not necessarily, it's their own anger, which is sort of brought up in that standalone 11 episode.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved, aside from being just visually stunning, just how it was like photographed and the visual effects of the gate.
Yeah.
I loved how it did look like she was like sealing a wound.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was terrific.
Yeah, really good. Let's talk about that standalone 11 episode. So this was episode 7. It's called The Lost Sister.
Yes. The only standalone really kind of episode in the whole series to date.
Yeah, that's right. And I enjoyed it because you take a departure from everything. They did this cheeky thing where it stops at a moment that was like really heightened in the
Previous episode.
Yeah, like in the Hawkins storyline. Like, I forgot what it was, but
Like
just
those dogs were released everywhere in the lab and they were trapped.
Yeah, that's right. And then cut to
Here's 11's story.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back on the ranch.
Yeah, the lead up to that, I love the scenes where it's 11 lashing out, 11 waiting for Chief Hopper to come back, 515 or whatever the time was.
Yes.
And he's just always late.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so good. And just her learning, like growing her verbal reasoning capacity.
I love that. Her evolution of her like communication skills throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
Like she speaks in like complete sentences.
I love that.
By
And,
the end.
Yeah, and I just love the implied fact of like, oh, Hopper has been teaching her
Yes.
how to speak properly, like telling the time.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yep.
And yeah, they're not a perfect pairing. They're not carrying that nice daughter. They fight and they struggle. They're a chosen family in a way.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it like kind of moving.
Yeah.
But obviously you'll get that climax lashing out storyline, and that's where we're heading into the episode 7, I guess. She realizes her mom is actually alive from like some boxes underneath the cabin.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, she goes on an adventure to
Her own quest.
Yes. And we saw this in the trailer, like, I guess when she like unlocks the door and she opens it, and I thought it was like Will's house for some reason.
That's what I thought. Yeah, in the trailer, I think they want you to think that.
Yeah. But then it's her mom's house. So she finally meets her mom.
Where she like sort of psychically tries to see what's going on in her brain.
Yeah.
And from there she intuits that she has like a sister.
Yeah,
or
that's right.
Someone who has experimented with her. And then she leaves to go locate her. So that leads us into the standalone episode where this sister is living with all these other outcasts.
What's her name?
I can't remember.
Yeah, okay, number 8.
Number 8. She was the one who was at the very beginning of this season, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, they go to find her, and it's almost like this weird sort of mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah.
And the bit where the sister tries to get 11 to lift that van, I got shades of X-Men First Class with Magneto and Professor X. And it's like rage and serenity, tap into that. But in this one, it's like just think about all the bad shit that happened to you. And there's sort of like a bunch of vigilantes who like, they're getting revenge on people, essentially.
Yeah. So her group is like this stereotypical 80s movies.
Yes.
Punk
Think
gang.
of Bill Paxton in the first Terminator. Fuck you, asshole, that guy.
Fuck you, asshole.
But it's like 7 of them.
Yeah.
And they're in this sort of like foundry or whatever. They're in this like sort of abandoned area. And I did like it a lot in theory because I like the idea of the show going outside the town to get like a little
Yeah.
bit bigger. And I thought the setting still felt like what Stranger Things is.
Yeah.
Like I could see the influences from like X-Men and like all that kind of stuff like that. And that was really neat.
Yeah, and it also poses a possibility of where this storyline could go.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a whole other world out there that works independent of the storyline that we're following right now, which
Yeah.
are with these characters.
They're dipping their toe into it for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are looking outside of the town of Hawkins and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Because to me, I think this LSD experiment conspiracy thing is actually much more interesting to me than the upside down stuff.
Yeah,
But,
I can see what you
yeah.
mean by that. But this episode, it got a kind of a funny reaction.
Did
Like,
it?
Yeah, like a lot of people just
Didn't like it?
didn't like it. And I don't know if it's because where it was placed was frustrating because it ends with this giant cliffhanger with the dogs and things are really heating
Yeah.
up. Stop. Here's a 11
I like
slide
that though
storyline.
because you can only do that on a Netflix show where it's
you can
binged.
immediately watch the
Yeah.
next episode. Yeah,
So
that's
I
true.
think it works perfectly in my opinion
Yeah.
in this season and in the context of this show where you can just go, oh, next. It leads naturally into the next episode.
Where
'cause
11 decides to go back, yeah.
because it explains why she's there instead of just showing her that she's there.
It gives her like a journey to go through, like
Yeah.
a personal journey,
Exactly.
which was pretty enjoyable. And I liked her makeover,
Yeah.
her like little punk new
Yes.
sort of superhero outfit, I guess you could say it is now.
Yeah.
One thing they do with 11 in these two seasons, it's clear, is they're always trying to find new iconic looks for her.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great actress, and they've got like a really good thing going on with Millie Bob Brown. Is that
Yeah.
her name? Yeah, and she's terrific in it. But it really kind of shows you that these 80s outcast stereotypes and her mentor sister, not bad, but definitely not as well cast as like everybody else.
Yeah.
They kind of stick out in that regard. They feel just very one-dimensional.
Yeah,
which-
throughout the episode, you don't feel like you want to hang out with these characters.
No, you don't. You get like to the credit to the direction and the production that you get a good sense of their life.
Yeah.
But you don't really care to hang with them. And
Yeah.
they're not that interesting.
To the point where, I felt relieved when 11 decided to go back. I
Me
was
too.
like, yes, I don't want to spend any more time with these people.
Yes, I 100% agree. But it was like a fun sort of experiment away in like a different setting.
Yeah.
And it made the scope of the show kind of just feel bigger and more important.
Yeah.
Not more
definitely.
important, but like sort of just more ambitious, I guess.
And obviously, the arc for 11 this whole season is very basic. So it's the idea of home
Yes.
and like where it is. Is it with her biological mom who's like waited for her for years and it's now like brain dead?
Yeah, or is it with these other people who maybe
Who-
she has something and she could have something in common
Yeah.
with? Or was it with her original friends in the first season?
Yeah.
Which, you know the answer before you watch
Yeah.
this season, really?
And like the word home gets said a lot.
Yeah.
Just in case you
Again,
miss it.
There are so many people watching, you do have to holler to the cheap seats.
Hmm.
But yeah, nonetheless, I thought it was like a pretty good arc for her. And
Yeah.
I do like... At first it was frustrating, but the more I think about it, I like that they gave 11 something outside to do
Yeah.
outside of the group.
Yes.
Because you need to sort of give her other dimensions
Yeah.
and stuff like that. She has a life outside of those guys.
Yeah, you need to define her as her own character before, getting her back in.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to have her go on a journey of, okay, I can go with any anyone I want.
Yeah.
What makes the Hawkins gang so special?
It gives her a choice, which she
Yeah.
never had much choice.
Exactly.
And it was interesting to see like where she would go.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry, but I have to go back. My friends are in danger.
This isn't time for a talk. We gotta go right now.
Your mother sent you here for a reason, remember? We belong together. There's nothing for you back there. They cannot save you, Jane. No. But I can save them. Jane. Jane! Jane! Jane!
Yeah,
And
and
it makes you sort of like her character even more because as she's developing language, she's developing what she wants, like
Yeah.
her personality as well.
Yeah.
And it was really sweet.
yeah, and it makes her reunion with the gang and especially Hopper
Yes.
even more moving.
Yeah.
Like they even argued before they hugged.
Yes.
And that was just perfect. It was such a perfect moving moment.
Yeah, and it's also like my favorite scene between the two of them is when, you know, they're discussing in the car in the last episode, and Hopper's like, I'm a black hole, you know, I suck things in and I wreck them.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's so sad for him. Yeah. Like, she's crying when she's saying that, because she's like, you're not that. Well, she's not saying it, but you can tell she's sort of thinking it.
Yeah.
And I just liked how their reunion wasn't mushy at all. It just felt
very
true.
True to the characters.
For sure.
It works so well when they have a good grasp of who their characters are, and they have a strong grasp on that, I think, with Hopper and 11.
Yes.
Especially when they're playing off each other.
Yeah.
You know, I love that scene in that same in the van where he's like, so, anything you want to tell me? Like, you know, why you look like a punk? MTV punk?
Bitchin'.
Bitchin'. He's like, okay.
He's like, yeah, okay, bitchin' then.
Amazing.
Yeah, some terrific stuff in this season. But anything we didn't like? Anything?
Well, I've mentioned...
Aside from Bob.
Conclusion of Bob's storyline was just...
overplayed.
It didn't sit right with me. It's just like,
And I felt like it was a very transparent way to try and get to edge Hopper and Joyce closer together as well. You could see they were close from the beginning.
Yeah.
As well. So it was like one of those things where, like, oh, dispose of this person and then get these two characters together.
Yeah, and a sure sign that they're actually explicitly trying to manipulate people is the fact that they lingered so long on Bob's, like, corpse getting eaten. Like... there is no other reason to show that. I don't know if anyone enjoyed that scene or like thought that scene was great. You know what I mean? Because it felt a bit false.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But aside from that, another great pairing, aside from 11 and Hopper, Steve and Dustin.
Yes.
Surprisingly, who knew Steve would be like a breakout character of season 2?
Now that's a more like of an organic breakout character than I would say Barb.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like,
not even a contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's awesome.
When he's like with Nancy, he's just like, like he's not bad, but it's like, I'm not that interested in what's going on here.
Because, when he plays a stereotype of bad boyfriend, it's just
like,
not that
like a
interesting.
daisical douche.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever.
Once he steps out of that trope, it gets interesting because you're like, whoa, this guy like could go places as a character. Pair him up with different people and you're just like, this is gold. And
I just love him like trying to like sort of give Dustin some advice on like girls and stuff like
Farrah
that.
Fawcett hairspray.
If you tell anyone about that, your ass is grass.
Your ass is grass. His line delivery of that phrase was so smooth. I believe that they say it in this era because he doesn't like linger on it. He just says, your ass is grass. And then just like continues.
Yeah, he could tell he threatens people with that all the time probably. But I really just enjoyed the actor when they gave him the role of like the reluctant babysitter.
Yes.
But you can see he has like a really good heart too because he's obviously doing his best to look after them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that scene in the car where he gets beat up and then he wakes up and you're
he
like...
freaks out because the girl's driving.
Yeah, the shot of the girl looking back and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's... at those moments where the ensemble cast is like together like that is really, it's the show at its height, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that was sort of like the most unexpected because you could tell like 11 and Hopper scenes would be terrific.
Yeah.
But the Steve scenes, I wouldn't have guessed that at all. I'd have had no idea.
They're just so enjoyable.
And you could tell everyone's going to just cosplay as him some Halloween. Like with the nails and the bat and the hair and the glasses and the jacket. It's like, it's such an instantly sort of good look.
Yeah.
You know?
You know who's not a interesting character though?
Oh, who?
Jonathan.
Oh.
Jonathan Byers. Jonathan Cocaine Eyes Byers.
Mr. Heroin Chic. The scruffiest motherfucker. And it's sort of like, I don't understand this pairing between him and Nancy either.
I get it on paper because that's like the traditional storyline of he's the person that she will end up with because, you know, she's originally with the popular jock dude, character and then he's the outsider and she's meant to be with the outsider. I get that part, but just John as a character is just not that interesting.
I'm like, just him as a character, I'm like, why would she fuck him? Like, I just immediately think that.
I just don't get, I think, speaking of miscast, you know, this is the most egregious miscast in Stranger Things just because he's a core cast member.
Yeah.
And I don't buy this character because of how this actor looks, I have to say. He just doesn't... He does look like a druggie.
Yeah, he does.
And even in season 1, I'm just like, does he work a lot of shifts or something? Like, why does he look like he is so sleep deprived?
Yeah, he does.
And it just doesn't make sense because they never touch on it as a character thing. But he just looks so exhausted all the time that you're like, is this the actor just being exhausted all the time? Or, it just makes you question the character.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's distracting.
He doesn't fit well in the context of Joyce, Will, and then he's the third member of this family. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean,
just how he looks.
I kind of got his frazzled nature in the first season because, his mum's becoming a basket case and Will's gone, so he has to feel like he has to sort of... And he's stressed and he's a kid and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they continue with that in this season. It's like, wow, he's at a place in this family, isn't he?
Yeah.
When they're all happy, he's still like frazzled and fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's kind of a bit distracting.
Yeah, I think get anyone else and
Yeah.
it would have made more sense. Like it wouldn't have been this jarring.
Yeah. And he's just sort of got this weird anti-charisma thing going on.
That's the thing. It sucks because Nancy then, who is a pretty serviceable actor, like she does it well. Like she plays her part well.
She does, yeah.
And Nancy's an awesome character.
Really cool.
She gets things done. Yes, she's a bit
she's ruthless.
misguided.
Yeah, she's a ruthless person.
Yeah, she's
out of
still
all
a
of them.
teenage girl, but she's ruthless.
Yeah.
And she just, she makes shit happen.
Yeah, and I think her being like motivated to avenge like her friend's death is like a good direction for that kind of character to take.
It's a good story for her.
Yeah.
And little actions that she takes makes her really interesting. Like when she's like, I know how to use a gun. And then she's just like her with a gun.
And I think,
it's
where did
awesome.
she like learn to use that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I liked how like when they were turning up the heat on Will to get the demon out and she prods him
Yes.
with like the spike thing.
She grabs,
Doesn't hesitate.
Oh,
I was like, that's
love
like,
that.
She sort of reminds me of like Sarah Connor, like from Terminator or something like that. And I could definitely see that because, she starts kind of meek and you think she's just a nerd.
Yeah.
And now she's like this tough badass.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that barn scene, when you think about, what's his name? Jonathan, his reaction is like, look away.
Yeah.
It's just on another actor. Maybe I can buy that. It is his brother and like Jonathan seems like a more sensitive guy.
Yeah.
And he cares about his brother. But like at that moment when he just like tries to stop Joyce or like he cries and hugs Nancy, you're just like, dude, they're just trying to save the brother.
Don't just
get
fall
your
apart
shit
now.
Yeah, get your shit together.
You've nearly
Or, like,
got the thing out of him.
Yeah, like leave the room then.
Yeah,
Shit.
if you can't watch it.
You just get so annoyed at him because you're just like, what the, like...
It's like the fuck Jonathan
Yeah,
shit.
I don't like, masculine, feminine stereotypes.
No,
but,
I know what you mean.
But I feel like I want to say grow a pair.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I know what you
which,
mean.
like, it sucks, but it's like, I think it's the disjointedness of, like, the actor, too.
Yeah.
That it's just, like, doesn't make sense. Something's off.
He's got an interesting way of like just giving line readings and stuff. Like when he's not supposed to be like sort of angsty or like upset, he still seems that way.
Exactly.
It's like, why don't you just relax a little bit?
But I do like the storyline where they went to
The conspiracy theorist's
Yeah.
house. Get
Play-
some information.
played by comedian Brett Gelman in like one of his best roles.
Yes, very suited for this. I loved his analogy about telling people about all this crazy sciencey shit. You got to dilute.
You gotta water it down.
Got to water it down. Like that's a very creative way of putting it.
Yeah.
Actually, I like that.
I like that whole scene where they discuss like public perception.
Yes.
Because, it's interesting because in a way it's also talking about the show
Like
itself.
That's what I'm was just thinking. Though it's like an acknowledgement of sooner or later everyone's gonna have to know about this. It can't be secret forever if we're gonna do seasons of this show, right? Like, it can't be kept a secret. Like, what'll it look like when everyone knows about it? How does that change things?
I like that because it taps into like the intellectual side of watching a TV show where
It takes
like,
a wider view of the mythology.
Yeah, we can't just say they're aliens because that'll be like tough to swallow. And it's also like a good kind of commentary on like the world now where it's like, even when it's the truth, people are so easily manipulated and like people want normalcy. So they'll cling to anything that just maintains that.
They really allude to that theme in like a very direct way,
Yeah.
which I really liked. And I also loved just He was very funny too because
He was hilarious.
like when they have like a final scene with him and he's like, "Never contact me again," and just slams the door in their face.
Because no, I think he said like, so if you ever want to contact me again,
Don't.
don't.
That's right.
And just the whole thing, it's kind of creepy, but it's hilarious when he's like, wait, you guys haven't boned yet?
Yeah. That's right.
It's funny because it's kind of a self-aware kind of nature of the show because he says,
Trust issues, am I right? Something to do with your dad.
What? No. I mean, my dad's...
An asshole.
It is a curse to see so clearly. You're harder to read. Probably, like everyone, afraid of what would happen if you accepted yourself for who you really are and retreated back to the safety of name.
Steve.
Oh, Steve. We like Steve,
Yes.
but we don't love Steve.
What? No, I mean, I do.
There it is, ladies and germs, the second lie of the evening. So, how'd I do?
He could be like the jester of the show, if you will, who can like point out like what the viewers are sort of thinking while watching it.
he reminds me of Abed from Community,
Yes.
where he's like relating everything to TV movie tropes.
He's sort
or,
of a
like,
meta character.
stereotypes. Yeah, he's meta.
Yeah.
But I like that. Having him as a character, it makes sense. It makes so much sense to have a conspiracy theorist investigating this.
Because
And it
of
fits
course there
in.
would be.
Yeah.
You know, after all the crazy shit that went down in the first season.
Yeah.
And there are people like that anyway.
Yeah.
So it seems like a natural expansion
It
of the
fits
show.
like a glove.
Yeah. So I'm sort of like interested to see where they'll take that in the inevitable next season. See how that grows and stuff like that. Yeah, what else are we missing from this season of the show?
Okay, I guess we should talk about the actual main storyline of the show, which is telling that all the stuff that we're excited about is not the main plot,
Well,
which
the main
is the
plot is
whole
just-
upside down coming to Will thing.
Yeah, so it's basically like, I think it's very theme focused in a way with how the plot works. Where I was talking about how at the end of the first season, you know, Will vomits up something tiny.
Yeah.
And you wonder, well, what's that creepy thing about? And that expands into like the literal huge antagonist of
Yeah.
the season in the form of those dogs.
Yeah.
And how like that little wound, you know, begins rotting all those pumpkins. And like that theme is interwoven with Hopper's and Eleven's relationship of how they're sort of angry and that's like threatening to destroy, you know, their relationship or their life and stuff like that. So I feel like the plot, just on its own, it's just very like, oh, there's a monster coming and we need to figure it out.
Yeah.
But what makes it interesting is how the theme of what the antagonist is seeps into all the character developments. Same with Nancy and Steve. Like, they broke up because he just wanted to pretend, oh, let's just be normal teenagers.
Yeah.
But she can't forget what happened, and that sort of slowly destroyed their relationship.
Yeah.
And, you know, that kind of stuff. And, like, how even the stupid bully bit, you know, that sort of starts with him bullying his son, and then he nearly kills, like, a bunch of other people at the end. So it's sort of... it felt way more like theme focused than the first season did to me.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. But in terms of, you know, the mythology of the monster and all that stuff, it was, again, the least interesting stuff for me.
Yeah, and
I
it
guess.
felt a bit all over the place too.
Yes.
Like, which, you know, it's fitting that we talk about the show being like a remix of all other, like, you know, especially like 80s pop culture. It copies like sequels of movies in a way that it's like Star Wars, where it's like, oh, we've got a bigger Death Star.
Yeah, it is like that.
And it's like, oh, you think the main villain was scary, like the Demogorgon? Let's have like 500 Demogorgons and a bigger monster from the Upside Down.
Well, if you want to go into homages, it's like the Demodogs are like aliens. Like in the first one, there's an alien.
Exactly.
There's a monster. In the second sequel, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And they reminded me of that. I got that for sure.
You know
Big
what?
vibes.
That's a good point, because at the end, you know, when she's trying to close the wound,
Yes.
you see a shadow, which, you know, you assumed that's like the big boss Demogorgon, but the shadow of it looks exactly like a xenomorph.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
If you play that scene again and pause it when the shadow comes by, it has that big head. It's like that oblong.
The penis head?
Yeah, the penis head.
Wow.
So it looks exactly like a silhouette of a xenomorph, which is the main alien in the Alien franchise.
Yeah. Because you got those aliens sort of vibes, right, too, from the end of this season.
Yeah.
With all those things running around.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's like a cute Easter egg, or if it's like, oh, what if they put in like a fucking xenomorph in Stranger Things?
I think
would they get that overt? They would literally steal the monster from aliens.
Like, yeah, literally.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I
wanna
I
rewatch
could
it
be
now.
wrong, but
yeah,
that was my first impression because I was
Yeah.
like, what is that? And it just looks so familiar. That shape, it's just unmissable.
yeah. It's like it's an iconic kind of image.
Exactly.
You know, when you see it, you know it.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. Let us know if I'm actually wrong and it's just like a blob. Yes.
it might just be like a shadow.
Yeah.
It's like when people see the Virgin Mary on like a potato crisp.
Yeah.
I swear, it's Jesus Christ on here.
Well, we'll see.
But I think it sort of makes me think if they're going to do a season 3, I don't. Because again, it's like it follows the same beats of season 1 of Will is the conduit to this monster world. Because, he was like the main motivator to all this weird shit going on. And it's the same in this season too. Only this time he's not missing. He's like being possessed.
Yeah.
So it felt very similar in that way.
What I want them to explore...
And once again, it was like 11, smashing something with her telekinesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like... obviously towards the end, I'm sure everyone has this thought, which is, shit, will 11 die again trying to close this? Because she didn't look like she was in really good shape when she's trying to close the door.
See, I would have been mad if that was the case.
Because I was, I couldn't concentrate on like the moment of her closing it because all I could think of was, you better not let her die again because I would be so fucking pissed.
Yeah. You can play that card once as far as I'm concerned.
That's it. You don't toy with the fact that she might die or not again. You can't do that.
No one's buying it.
Yeah.
So I think they were clever enough not to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't because it's just much more interesting. I think we're in a post Game of Thrones era where the characters can die at any time thing isn't as potent as a storytelling device anymore.
Every
like
show's
character
kind of done it.
deaths aren't that subversive anymore.
Yes.
Or like shocking character deaths aren't that subversive or interesting anymore. And it might be actually more interesting to keep characters alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. 100%.
I think it would have been much more interesting if Bob was alive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that was wasted potential.
Yeah.
Like in that case, like it wasn't even shocking at all because it was telegraphed.
Yeah.
But also it was because he's the one like inessential character.
He's the one expendable character.
So it's like, of course they want to like up the stakes by getting him to die.
Yeah.
Because they can't all make it because that would be like kind of like, it's too easy for them.
Yeah.
But that is a kind of
You know who they should have killed Jonathan off.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Like,
kill him.
It seems like he has no relationship to any of the characters really outside of Nancy.
I think, and he's in such a perfect position to do it. His death would mean so much to all the characters around them. And not much to us.
Yeah, it's a good trade-off.
Yeah, and you could even give him a heroic moment.
Yeah, saving Will or something like that, or his mum or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see much story for this boy, truth be told.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle it if he's like in a relationship with Nancy next season. It's just like...
Oh, they're going to do that. If he's going to be in the show next season.
The eye roll. Yeah, if airport security lets him through.
But one of the surprise scenes for me this season as well, I thought it was really nice, was when Dustin had got that advice from Steve and he did his hair for the ball and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And all the girls were like laughing at him.
Yeah.
And he was like crying on his own.
Bummer moment.
And then like Nancy is like so nice to him and just like dances with him and just like, makes him feel better.
I like that moment because I like the fact that it's not fully, happily ever after moment.
No, yeah. But it makes sense for her character to be that way because she is like a take charge person.
Exactly.
And she gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like
and
that's clear.
Yeah. And they've gone through so much.
Yeah, of course she would like help him out.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a great payoff.
Yeah.
To that kind of thing.
And just like organic to both characters.
Yeah.
To do that, he is like he tries hard.
Yeah.
What I liked about that scene is that it signals to us, hey, yes, you might have stopped the world from ending, but in the end, these are kids and they still have to go through shitty high school experiences.
That's exactly
like
what I thought too. Yeah, I really liked that. Like the show didn't lose sight of like, throughout this whole season, really, even when crazier shit was going down, never lost sight of the grounded elements that make you want to watch it, even when there are no like crazy demons or monsters threatening anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's like the real success to the show because the casting is so good.
Yeah,
like I can't overstate that enough. But I was I was pleased with this season overall. Like, it was just like it was really fun. You know, it was really light. Probably won't rewatch it again. I wouldn't rewatch any of the seasons, not because I think it's bad, because it's just sort of like, you know, I watched it once and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think too hard about it as I would some other things. But it's like a really well done sort of treat.
Yeah.
You know, these shows. And bring on the next season.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, I'll watch it.
I think let's make this a tradition. So with our Game of Thrones recap, at the end of a recap for every episode, we give out 2 awards. One, what is now known as the Ollie Award, named after human garbage Ollie, who stabs Jon Snow, to the worst character of a show or episode. And we also give out the Hodor Award to the best character of the season. So who would you give your Ollie Award to for Stranger Things Season 2?
So the worst award, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to go with... I have to go with The Lost Sister, technically.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there was something interesting there, but I feel like they dropped the ball in terms of the performance, and she felt sort of one note to me, like she just wanted to use 11 to get her revenge, and I wasn't terribly invested in her. But I'm not saying she's like a bad character, but what makes it frustrating is that the potential was most obviously squandered there.
Yeah.
Close would be Billy, the bully.
Yeah.
But he was so ridiculous and over the top that I got more enjoyment out of that.
He's my Ollie Award winner.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy any part of his character at all, except for that last scene with him and Nancy's mom. But it was mostly Nancy's mom's reaction to him that was like enjoyable, like it was delicious.
Yeah.
But yeah, he bugged me. No offense to fellow Perth person.
Oh, Dacre.
Yeah,
Banana
you know,
Dacre.
you did a great job portraying a psychopath, but do we need a psychopath in this world? I don't think so.
Yeah.
He didn't even contribute to the plot in any way.
No, not really.
Yeah, so he gets my Ollie Award. Who gets your Hodor Award?
I'm going to probably give it to Steve, actually.
Steve.
He gets my Hodor Award just because it was the most surprising to me. And it also, like, genuinely developed his character.
Yeah.
And his last scene where, like, he sort of sees Nancy in there and he's just like, I'll just let her be. Like, this hasn't worked out. It showed, like, a kind of maturity on his part as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that was, like, genuinely enjoyable and kind of heartwarming. It's, like, one of the good things about this show.
Yeah. He's
that kind of development. And I wouldn't have expected it. Really wouldn't have.
Yeah, he's really like an MVP of the episode, of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
He had an arc.
A real
which,
arc.
you know,
Yeah.
go figure.
Yeah. So how about you?
I would have to say it's a tie between Hopper and 11. They both went through a journey together and they both learned something about themselves. Their relationship was like the emotional driver for me.
Yeah.
In this season, and just figuring out how to live with each other and like setting rules and like getting to luxuriate in like their mundane activities like dinner with each other.
Yeah, I'm glad there was a good amount of time devoted to that mundane stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like the junk food and they always eat and all that kind of stuff. There was a real like authenticity to the two of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the actors like played them so well.
They are, like you said, they are the best actors on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Stranger Things season 2 gets a thumb up and another thumb up.
How many Demogorgons would you give it?
Out of like 5?
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 4.
4?
Yeah. It's just really solid, enjoyable stuff. What about you?
I want to say 3.5.
Solid 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. You know, just it's fun.
Yeah.
And it made me emotional at some points, especially towards the end. Yeah, you know, I enjoy it for what it is, like a popcorn show.
It is. It is like a blockbuster show, isn't it?
Yeah,
For
which
sure.
is great. Like, it's perfectly fun. It felt, you know, it feels like what I would imagine Indiana Jones would feel when it first came out for people.
Or E.T. as well, something like that. Got that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it could be like a Star Wars equivalent of a TV show.
That's I understand what you mean there. Yeah,
like
for sure.
It's like that cultural significance compared to then like that kind of,
because it definitely plays with archetypes and like family.
Yeah,
and it's sort of universal in like not a bland way.
Yeah,
like in a way like anyone can find something to enjoy out of it, and it's like valid. So yeah, even if I don't give a fuck about Barb and never will, still I won't begrudge anyone. Contrary to what I said earlier.
Yeah. Do you think we'll be seeing justice for Bob
No,
hashtags?
I have a feeling no. I mean...
Hey, let's start right now. How about we get some hashtag justice for Bob going?
Wouldn't it be...
Listeners, let's get this going.
I wouldn't...
All 80 of you.
I wonder if they will even mention him in season 3. They just disposed of him.
Speaking of which, well, we have an email now. So
yes.
Whoever's listening out there, if you want to let us know what you think of this season, whether you agreed with any of our points or disagreed with us. Did that shadow really look like a xenomorph?
Yeah, I'm going to have to rewatch that for sure.
Yeah. Email us at spoilernationpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. And what you think of the show so far. Any constructive criticism would be great. Maybe also, I don't know, give us 5 stars on iTunes or something.
5 stars, nothing less. If you're not going to give us 5, just don't worry about the stars.
Yeah, don't
obviously.
Do it. Yeah, and check out, I guess, mostly Reese's movie reviews. You wrote one on Thor recently.
Oh, Thor and Happy Death Day.
Yeah,
would make a great double feature, and I go a little bit into why in my review. So check that out.
Isolatednation.com. So yeah, until next time.
Bye bye.